Good morning, this is Keloland on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
A young man was not hurt after being rescued from a Black Hills cave last weekend. Custer County Search and Rescue says it happened between Friday and Saturday. They say a group was exploring a cave on private property, and a young man in the group was following an unexplored passage when he got stuck.
Drills were brought in to widen the passage and webbing was passed to him, and he was able to pull himself free after 18 hours. After reaching a larger room, he was able to crawl out of the cave.
One man was hurt after a semi crashed north of Bryant, South Dakota. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. A semi was southbound when the driver got something in his eye.
As he reached for something, the semi drifted off the road and got caught on the edge. The driver overcorrected and the truck and trailer rolled. The crash is under investigation and charges are pending against the driver.
A Rapid City man accused of threatening to climb Mount Rushmore to shoot former President Donald Trump in 2020 has entered a guilty plea. Lucian Celestine admits to possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. When he's sentenced, he faces up to 10 years in federal prison.
Ahead of the 2020 celebration at Mount Rushmore, authorities searched his home and car and discovered a gun and ammo that he'd brought with a disability payment. According to court documents, he has a history of mental illness, and it wasn't the first time he threatened a president.
And a woman wanted in connection with a serious crime in May is now in the Pennington County Jail. The sheriff's office tweeted Tuesday morning that Winter Merrill has been arrested.
An arrest warrant was issued in July for aiding and abetting attempted murder and kidnapping. According to the Pennington County website, warrants are still active for Dominic Eastman, who is also accused in the case.
Now let's send it over to meteorologist Scott Munn for a check on our forecast. A windy day on the way today, Scott.
Oh, strong winds for just about everybody today. Wind gusts over 40, over 50 miles per hour on occasion, and much cooler compared to what we had yesterday. We'll have a strong northwest wind. You see numerous wind advisories and high wind warnings blanket much of Keloland. A forecast for today showing afternoon highs in the 50s and 60s. More details on your forecast with Brian coming up.
Thank you, Scott. Even with the dry conditions, one family's produce farm was still able to stock their shelves for customers this year.
Thanks to subsurface drip irrigation and some timely rain, Rilling Produce was able to grow a late but plentiful crop. With the drought conditions, the demand for produce in the Pierre community increased this year.
We didn't know just how it was going to be, but a lot of people gave up on their gardens early on because it was so hot and dry and windy, and that kind of played into our hand, and we just bared down and kept everything irrigated and punched out a crop.
Right now the crew is still working to pick tomatoes, watermelon, and pumpkins. The SDSU poll shows just how tight the race for South Dakota governor is. Among registered voters, 45% said they'd vote for incumbent Republican Kristi Noem, while 41% said they'd support Democratic challenger Jamie Smith. 14% of those surveyed said they had not decided yet.
The SDSU poll also looked into the U.S. Senate race. 53% support incumbent Republican John Thune, while 28% said they could vote for Democratic challenger Brian Banks. 20% of people surveyed said they are undecided. You can see a full breakdown of the SDSU poll in a Keloland.com original by Jasmine Jackson.
In a few weeks, South Dakota voters will also decide if the state should allow recreational marijuana for people 21 and older. Before you vote, we want to help you get to know the issue. On this week's Inside Keloland, we'll be sitting down with representatives from the groups lobbying for and against initiated Measure 27.
We want to hear what questions you have about the ballot measure. Just send an email to candidatequestions@keloland.com. An SDSU cheerleader is recovering after having part of her leg amputated because of a rare and unknown condition. Brianna Damaris is a sophomore and was cheering at a Jacks football home opener September 10th when a pain in her foot became intolerable.
She saw multiple physicians for over a year because of the pain, and amputation was determined to be the best option. She says support from her team and others has helped her through.
Like it started with my right foot, then my left foot, then back to my right foot. So I did get to cheer my sophomore year a little bit, and then this started happening.
It was a hard day, the day we had to tell the team of Brianna's news. They knew she was in the hospital and some of these procedures, but the day we had to tell them of the amputation was a day filled with a lot of tears for the whole team. But the next day it was like just that resilience. Everybody just bounced back, like, what can we do?
She's supposed to get her prosthetic leg in 2 to 3 months. She'll continue rehab and hopes to be cheering again at the school next year. If you'd like to help her out, you can find a link to a GoFundMe attached to this story right here on KELLOLAND.com.
And that's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather today, red flag warnings are out there, so that's a big part of the forecast. Extreme fire danger as a result of that. When we look at Futurecast today, a couple of sprinkles out there. Not really going to see a lot of moisture with that, but just keep that in mind too, that there is that talking point to kind of weave into the forecast. The afternoon temperatures, I think we will get back into the upper 50s and low 60s, pretty common across the majority of the region. But of course, when you look at winds like this, not going to feel as warm as the temperature would suggest. We'll see 30s tonight and tomorrow back into the low 50s for highs. Minnesota residents, you'll be a little cooler, and then we'll have a tendency to warm a little bit as we kick off the weekend, at least on daytime highs. 58 degrees today, Brookings, your KELLOLAND live Doppler HD forecast. 57 Rapid City. Note the wind northwest 30 to 60 there. Tonight, 40 Chamberlain, 39 Mitchell, 35 Sisseton. Tomorrow, mixed bag of 50s and a few 40s in the northeast. That will continue. And then our 7-day forecast. 60-degree weather Friday, Saturday. At this point, I would say another front drops into the region Sunday and Monday, giving us highs into the 40s there by early next week. It looks like right now for northeastern KELLOLAND, we are looking at temperatures back into the upper 50s Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mid-50s. And then, yeah, beyond that, it could cool off a little bit more. Pier, same drop in the temperature early next week. Is it dramatic? Not as much in that direction. And overall, hard to pick out any real substantial rain chance in the 7-day forecast. So, unfortunately, that means these fire weather conditions will continue to pop up in the 7-day forecast. Check out more details online at KELLOLAND.com.